Hello, in this video I'll show you some examples of basic cloth rigging to avoid issues and really bad results. Let's say, for example, I'm going to create a skirt, so I'm going to create a sphere to put the skirt around. Alright, I'm going to center it, and I'm going to create the skirt by just applying a poly, and I'm going to just select some of these polygons here, and just detach as clone, select new object, and I'm just going to double click on this loop and just hold shift and extrude this down. So let's say this is our basic skirt object. Alright, and there we go, and I'm going to insert loops through here as well, just to make this as even as we can. Alright, so this is what we want to animate, so maybe we can push it out just a little bit. Alright, so this is sphere alt 1, I'll just call this skirt. Right, so I'm going to select this, and let me just move this up. Let's do some quick animation, so I'm going to press N. I'm going to go to frame 10 and just going to rotate like this. I'm going to go to frame 20 and rotate like this. Alright, and then N to turn off auto key. So we got this animation. And so now I'm going to apply the cloth modifier. I can increase the centimeters per unit, activate, increase the subsample for higher quality, activate self collision. Alright, let's go into object properties, and I'm going to add objects. This sphere will be the collision object, and the skirt will be the cloth with cotton. Alright, let's simulate that and see what we get. As you notice, the cloth just falls down. So a basic way to rig the cloth, I'm just going to erase simulation, is we go into group and we select what part of this cloth we want to be attached to the sphere. So we can actually animate this as well. So for some frames we can have this be attached, other frames we can be detached. For example, if somebody touches the cloth, you can rig it to the hand, to the finger for a few frames to get some movement, then unrig it. Alright, so what I can do, for example, is select these two vertices, and then pretty much I can use loop. It's going to loop around, and it's going to know which way to loop because of the two vertices. So for example, if I just select this one vertex, click on loop, it's not knowing which direction to go to. But if I select, for example, these two vertices and then click on loop, it's going to loop right here. Alright, and then we're going to scroll up here and then make group. Okay, click on node and click on the sphere. But notice how we can't really click on it. Choose surface instead. Alright. Get from object. You can use soft selection as well. Alright. So let's resimulate. As you notice now, those vertices are attached to the sphere, which we can say are hips, for example, and the simulation now works with no problem. And of course you can have higher density here for better cloth results, or you can apply Turbo Smooth on top. And here you go. So that is basic cloth rigging right here. Let's look at a more complex example. All right. So I'm going to make a quick arm, not the hand, just the arm. All right. Let's say this is our basic arm object. I'm going to delete the ends. All right. Create the forearm here. Bicep, tricep area, and Turbo Smooth. Alright, so let's say this is our basic arm, and let's say there's going to be a glove or a gauntlet that's taking up some area right here. So let's say right there. I'm going to detach that as a clone. I'll give this a more appropriate color. Let's make this maybe something like that. Alright, and for this we'll make it some sort of brown. Alright, and let's say we want to have maybe some sort of shoulder pad on top here. Alright. Apply a shell on that. Alright, and then let's create our cloth. Let me apply a shell on this as well. Alright, here we go. So here is our gauntlet object, and here is our shoulder pad right here. Alright, so let's create the cloth as well. So I'm going to make this transparent, and I'm going to make this cloth. I can just detach all this as a clone. And I'm going to give this, let's say, some sort of military material, military color. All right. And then what I'm going to do real quick is some basic modeling. So I'm going to select insert loop through here, kind of scale this out. And I'm going to select all of these vertices. All right, I'm going to deselect these vertices. All right, I'm going to push this out. All right, there we go. And then you can make some more adjustments. For example, maybe scaling this out a little bit, maybe moving this out a little bit. All right, so there we go. So we have several components here. And so I will call this cloth, and I will call this arm. And I can call this, for example, pad, and I can call this gauntlet. All right, let's also create a basic bone system. Let's say from the front viewport, animation, bone tools, create bones, left click, left click, left click, right click. I'm going to hide that nub. All right. I'm going to select just the base right here, just move a little bit here. Just a very quick setup just to get things going here. All right. So then I'm going to go ahead and select the arm and apply a quick skin modifier. Turn off show buttons and just add those two bones. All right, and we're just going to use a very quick voxel solver. And I'm going to select the second bone and just switch to N. And then I'm going to go to frame, let's say 15, activate local, and just kind of rotate the forearm like this. All right, there we go. So we've got some basic animation happening. All right, what I'm going to do is just to use skin wrap on this. Reactivate my modifier buttons here. All right, skin wrap. Weight all points. Switch this to face, and then select the arm. All right, afterwards, convert to skin. Do the same for the pad right here. And convert to skin. All right, so now the gauntlet and the shoulder pad are following along. All right, so now it's time for the cloth. So select this here. Maybe you can smooth things out a little bit. All right, so then I'm going to apply cloth. All right, so I'm going to go into the properties, add objects, and we're going to add the arm, the gauntlet, and the pad. All those three will be selected. Those will be collision objects. You can decrease the depth and offset. It's very close together, and we'll make the cloth cotton again. All right, so let's see what this gives us. But as you notice, it's actually not too bad, but in some situations you can get a lot of bad effects happening here, and the cloth will kind of, as you can see, start to get a little bit out of control. This is a very simple example, so it doesn't look too bad, but in other situations it will look much worse than this. So let's rig up this cloth as well. So I'm just going to erase simulation. In order to rig this up, we're going to just make this transparent, and we're going to select the vertices that we want to be rigged to the arm. We don't want to be simulated with anything, because whenever you have vertices and polygons too close together, it will create problems. So we're going to go into group as well, and I'm actually going to press Q several times to switch to the fence selection, and I'm just going to select these vertices, and I'm going to also select these ones as well. We don't want those to be impacted. And then make group. And if you have multiple groups, you can of course give it a more descriptive name. You can also go down here and just rename this. I would choose surface again and click on the arm. And you can see if you scroll down here, it says group 001 surface to arm. All right, there we go. And let's re-simulate. Alright, so now it's looking much cleaner here. So this has been an introduction to some basic cloth rigging. So even if you have cloth close together, you can still get a good result. And so right here you may notice, especially if you're zoomed out, that the skin is kind of showing up in certain places. You can use, for example, an opacity map to hide certain parts of the skin, or you can just left click on your arm object, object properties, and just turn off renderable. And that way there won't be any kind of Z-fighting happening here. You can just apply turbo smooth on top. And this way we can get some very nice cloth effects going and some basic but effective cloth rigging. Thank you for watching and take care.